Well, as COVID-19 hospitalizations continue to increase, some cities are considering further rollbacks when it comes to reopening.
Yeah, among those cities, New Haven. Fox 61's Lisette Nunez live in New Haven this morning with more on that. Hey.
Good morning, Tim and Ashley. And Mayor Justin Elicker sending his message loud and clear that he wants the governor to consider his advice, and that's to roll back to phase 1. So that would be impacting restaurants. They would not be allowed to do any indoor dining. They could still do delivery and takeout. And Mayor Justin Elicker says that contact tracing determined that one of the places where transmission is happening at is gatherings at restaurants. Now, local restaurants say this will be detrimental to their business.
Especially for us being fine dining, it's hard to change our concept so easily. Fine dining food does not travel well.
If there was any additional rollbacks, I'm scared to death at what that would mean for our industry.
In Hamden, Mayor Kurt Lang also shares similar concerns about indoor dining. During his latest update, Governor Lamont says he doesn't believe a total shutdown is necessary, but he will be looking into indoor dining, gyms, and places of worship. We're live from New Haven. Lisette Nunez, Fox 61 News.